Hi students, welcome to the second session on current electricity. See, in this session we have got many concepts, also many derivations to learn. So first we will learn what are the objectives for today. So today we are going to cover so many concepts. First, we will learn something on free electron theory of metals. And later we will learn about the drift velocity and its expression, the relation between current and drift velocity, and about the mobility and relaxation time, expression for conductivity. You know that what is conductivity, which is the reciprocal of resistivity, which we have learnt in the previous class, and deduction of Ohm's law. In the last session we have learnt what is Ohm's law, the statement. Now we will derive Ohm's law, we will deduce Ohm's law. We will also learn about the limitations of Ohm's law and about the ohmic and non-ohmic devices. To start with, electric current in conductors, that is free electron theory of metals. I have told you in the previous session only that the metals are characterized by the presence of large number of free electrons. So metals contains large number of free electrons. Say for example, if you consider a copper metal, copper atom, if you consider, copper atom contains 29 protons in its nucleus and 29 electrons outside the nucleus. Out of those 29 electrons, 28 electrons are bound, 1 electron is free. So this free electron, each copper atom donates 1 free electron. That free electron can move anywhere inside the conductor, and that 29 protons and neutrons and 28 electrons, we call it as lattice. So NF, one atom, copper atom donates 1 free electron. So electrons, these free electrons inside the metallic conductor are moving at randomly. They are moving in a zigzag direction, in all directions, zigzag path. Since they are moving in zigzag direction in all the possible directions, the average velocity will be equal to 0, because at any given point of time, if you just consider the number of electrons moving from left to right, you will have same number of electrons moving from right to left. All the probability will be there. Similarly, if the electrons are going up 100 electrons will be coming down. So therefore net velocity, because velocity is a vector quantity, net velocity or the resultant velocity of all the electrons will be equal to 0, but not the speed. Because the electrons are randomly moving from year to year, so on, the net transfer of energy in any direction will not take place. These are the three important points as far as the free electron theory of metals are concerned. Now we will learn about the drift velocity. Students, you just consider this as a conductor. Here this is a conductor, and inside this conductor, this is one end of the conductor connected to the positive terminal of the battery, and look at that, the other end is connected to the negative terminal of the battery. And here I have considered a free electron, here a free electron, and notice that electric field is applied in this direction. Always electric field is applied from the positive terminal to the negative terminal, electric field is applied. And as you all know that electron is negatively charged, it will experience the force in the direction opposite to the electric field, and therefore look at this arrow mark. That means electron is experiencing the force in this direction, and that force is given by F is equal to minus E into E. Remember this, the force experienced by the free electron, conduction electron in the conductor is given by F is equal to minus E into E. F is equal to minus E into E, and that force will be in the direction opposite to the applied electric field. The electric field is applied in this direction. Now, because the electron will experience the force, it starts moving in the direction or towards the positive end of the conductor. It starts moving towards the positive, and while moving, it has to collide with the other electrons and the positive ions lattice. Because of collisions, what happens? The movement of the electrons get hindered, it is opposed. So the flow of electrons, that is opposed, and therefore what happens? After a certain period of time, the electron attains some slow velocity, some smooth velocity. The electrons start drifting towards the positive end of the conductor, and the velocity with which the electrons drift towards the positive end of the conductor is called drift velocity. So you remember the diagram. So that is one thing. Next, when the external field is applied across the conductor over and above the thermal velocities, the free electrons acquire a net velocity opposite to the direction of the electric field. Now, if you do not apply the electric field, the average velocity will be equal to 0. If you apply the electric field, the electrons will develop the tendency to move towards the positive end of the conductor in the direction opposite to the electric field. Remember that. So therefore, the electrons develop the velocity, net velocity. That average net velocity acquired by the free electrons while moving towards the positive end of the conductor in the under the influence of the electric field is called drift velocity. Remember, I repeat again. Drift velocity is that velocity with which the electrons slowly drift towards the positive end of the conductor under the influence of the electric field. So that is drift velocity, and the drift velocity is about millimeters per second. It is about millimeters per second. That is very less. But the thermal velocity will be around 10 to the power 5 to 10 to the power 6 meters per second. Now it's time to derive the equation for the drift velocity. So to derive the equation for drift velocity, you just have to consider the metallic conductor, the conductor that was there in the previous slide, conductor. So just check this one. Yes, this one. Consider a metallic conductor. So this metallic conductor, there are large number of free electrons, about 10 to the power 28 per cubic meter. That number is missing over there. About 10 to the power 28 per cubic meter. At room temperature, these free electrons move randomly in all the directions within the body, like the molecules in a gas, and the speed with which they move is around 10 to the power 5, 10 to the power 6 meters per second, and that is called thermal speed. Now if you consider, now we are going into the derivation of the drift velocity. So consider a metallic conductor of length L and cross sectional area A. Here this is a metallic conductor and the length of the conductor is L. Area of cross section is A. Area of cross section is A, and that conductor is connected to a battery of potential difference V. That means external electric field is applied. Here these arrow marks show that the free electrons are moving towards the positive end of the conductor, motion of free electrons. Now coming to this point, every electron here will experience the force. Generally the force is given by F is equal to mass into acceleration. Note this, mass into acceleration. Therefore acceleration A is equal to F divided by m, and A is equal to F by m. In electrostatics we have learned that force is equal to charge into electric field. Charge into electric field. Here the charge is electron. So charge is electronic charge and electric field applied is E. So therefore we get acceleration is equal to capital E into small e divided by m. Capital E represents the applied electric field, small e represents the charge on the electron, m is the mass of the electron. So therefore acceleration experienced by the electron in an electric field is given by E divided by m. Remember this, acceleration experienced by the electron in a conductor under the influence of the electric field is given by E by m. 1e, small e, is the charge on the electron, capital E represents the electric field intensity, m represents the mass of the electron. So now you know acceleration. Once you know acceleration, what happens? Because of acceleration, check this, the electron suffers continuous collisions with the positive ions. Hence the velocity decreases continuously and finally attains some slow speed, and that speed we call it as drift velocity or drift speed, which is of the order of 10 to the power minus 4 meter per second. I told millimeters per second. Now that is drift velocity. This is the definition given here for the drift velocity. Now you know only one thing, that is A, the acceleration is equal to E divided by m. Acceleration is equal to small e, capital E divided by m. Small e, charge on the electron, capital E, electric field intensity, m, mass of the electron. Coming back, what is the equation for the velocity, drift velocity? Generally velocity is given by V is equal to U plus AT, which you have learnt in your first year PUC. V is equal to U plus AT, S is equal to UT plus half AT square. You remember all those equations of motion. So V is equal to U plus AT. Here V is the drift velocity, U is the initial velocity, A is the acceleration, T is the time. Actually that time we call it as relaxation time. We will learn about it later. So Vd is equal to U plus AT. Now U is 0, therefore Vd is equal to AT. Look at this one. Vd is equal to AT because U is 0. Initial velocity is 0. Initial velocity, initial average velocity under when there is no electric field, the velocity, average velocity will be equal to 0. Therefore Vd is equal to A into tau, it is not T, tau. Vd is equal to A into tau. In the place of A, I have written EE by m into tau. EE by m into tau. So that is the equation for the drift velocity. Drift velocity V small d. V small d, drift velocity is equal to EE by m into tau. E is the electric field intensity, charge, m mass, T is the tau is the relaxation time. So this is the equation for drift velocity. Only the thing is you have to remember acceleration. F is equal to mass into acceleration. Acceleration is equal to EE by m. So therefore acceleration is EE by m, remember that. And if you substitute for the acceleration in the equation of motion, V is equal to U plus AT, you will get the expression for drift velocity. Now notice that Vd is equal to minus EE by m into tau, that is tau. Only for that word tau I have taken this equation. E is the charge of an electron, m is the mass of an electron, tau is the relaxation time, and E is the electric field intensity. The minus sign, that is electric field, is in one direction, drift velocity is in the opposite direction. The minus sign tells that the drift velocity is opposite to the electric field intensity. So this is about the drift velocity, dear students. There are some points to be noted as far as drift velocity is concerned. Check the point number 1. Drift velocity is proportional to the applied potential difference. It is inversely proportional to the length of the conductor. What is that you have to understand here? Look at the cursor here. Drift velocity is equal to V by L into E by m into tau. In the place of capital E, I have written V divided by L, that's it. In the place of capital E has been replaced by V divided by L. V represents the potential difference, L is the length of the conductor. If you remember, electric field intensity is equal to dV by dx. Potential gradient, negative potential gradient. So here E is equal to, that is electric field intensity, E is equal to dV by dx. Therefore in the place of dV, V is written, and in the place of dx, L is written, where V represents the potential difference applied across the conductor, L is the length of the conductor, and other things are same as it is, E by m into tau. So first point tells that Vd, the drift velocity, is directly proportional to the potential difference, and Vd is inversely proportional to the length of the conductor. So that is one thing, keep in your mind. And another important thing, that thermal velocity is of the order of 10 to the power 5 meters per second, which means drift velocity is different, thermal velocity is different. Drift velocity is under the influence of the external electric field. When there is no external electric field, these free electrons move randomly because of thermal energy, thermal agitation, and that thermal velocity with which the free electrons move is of the order of 10 to the power 5, 10 to the power 6 meters per second at room temperature. Then relaxation time. Actually, what is relaxation time? It is the time, average time interval between any two collisions of the free electron. Free electron, while moving, it collides. So it collides and again it collides. So therefore what happens? The time, average time interval between any two successive collisions of the free electrons while drifting towards the positive end of the conductor, that is called relaxation time, which is very less, of the order of 10 to the power minus 14 seconds. That means one collision takes place every 10 to the power minus 14 seconds, and that collision, I mean the time interval between any two successive collisions is called relaxation time. Remember, relaxation time. An electron is moving in a conductor, it collides with positive ions and neighboring electrons. The average time interval between any two collisions is called relaxation time, and the distance travelled between any two collisions, the average distance travelled between any two collisions, is called mean free path, as in the case of kinetic theory of gases. So these two terms, please remember. We'll proceed further. So now the relation between drift velocity and current. You know that current is charge divided by time, rate of flow of charges, and drift velocity, you know. What is the equation for drift velocity? Vd is equal to E divided by m into tau. Remember, E by m into tau. Now, to find the relation, this is an important question again. To find the relation between drift velocity and current, again you have to consider a conductor of length L and cross sectional area A. V is the potential difference applied across the ends of the conductor as shown in the figure. So same figure, we use this figure several times, so therefore observe this one. So L is the length of the conductor, V is the potential difference applied, and A is the cross sectional area of the conductor. Now you know this electric field E is equal to V by L. Remember, E is equal to V by L. Potential gradient, you remember, E is equal to dV by dx. In the chapter number 2, we have derived the relation between the electric field intensity and electric potential. E is equal to minus dV by dx. So here minus dV by dx, negative sign we have neglected. dV represents the potential difference, which we have written here as V, and dx represents the distance. Here it is L. So E is equal to V by L, remember. And secondly, let N be the number of electrons per unit volume. This is one important thing. N be the number of electrons per unit volume. So N, small n represents the number of electrons per unit volume. What do you mean? If N represents the number of electrons per unit volume, if capital N is the total number of electrons, then small n into volume gives you capital N, because small n represents the number of electrons per unit volume into volume of the conductor gives total number of electrons present in the conductor, total number of free electrons present in the conductor. So therefore remember, capital N is the total number of electrons present in the entire conductor, entire volume of the conductor, where N is the number of electrons per unit volume, So therefore capital N is equal to small n into V. Small n, number of electrons per unit volume, V is the volume of the conductor. So N is equal to N into V. What is the volume of the conductor? Cross sectional area into length. That represents the volume of the conductor. So therefore N, capital N, is equal to small n AL. Just remember that. Capital N, which represents the total number of free electrons present in the conductor, is equal to small n. Small n represents the number of electrons per unit volume, that is known as free electron density. AL represents the volume of the conductor. So you have to remember this. Two things you have to remember from this slide. One, electric field intensity E is equal to V divided by L, and total number of free electrons present in the conductor is given by NaL, where N, small n, is the number of electrons per unit volume, A is the area, and L is the length of the conductor, or AL represents the volume of the conductor, small n, capital N. Note the difference. Two things. Okay, we will move on. What is the charge of N electrons? And in electrostatics we have learned that the charge Q is given by N into E, where N is the total number of electrons and Q is the charge corresponding to the free electrons. So the total charge corresponding to all the free electrons is Q is equal to N into E. In the place of N you can write small n AL E. Now the total charge corresponding to free electrons. Now you know Q. Coming to this time, drift velocity is equal to distance by time, displacement by time, and time is equal to L by Vd. Time is equal to what? L by Vd. So now come back. What is current? Current is equal to charge divided by time. Charge divided by time. What is the charge? N A L E. Substitute. N A L E. That is the charge. What is the time? Time taken. Time taken is given by L divided by Vd. L divided by Vd. So time, for time, in the place of time, substitute L by Vd. Vd is in the denominator of the denominator and it goes to the numerator, and L in the numerator, L in the denominator will cancel. So what remains is only this N A Vd E. So therefore current I is equal to N capital A. This is capital A Vd E. N represents what? Here it is small n actually. So small n, that is the number of electrons per unit volume, and A represents the area of the conductor, Vd represents the drift velocity, E is the charge on the electron. It is not electron, it is the charge on the electron. So I is equal to, here look at this equation, this is perfect, because here we have made this small n has to be made small n and capital A. So I is equal to Na Vd into E. This is the relation between the drift velocity and the current in a conductor. I is equal to Na Vd E. I hope you have understood this. Now having learned this, we'll move further. Relaxation time, I told you it is the time spent by an electron before it collides with another electron is different for different electrons. The average of all these times is called the relaxation time. I'll tell you very simple. Relaxation time is the time interval between the two successive collisions. Average time interval between any two successive collisions suffered by the electron is called relaxation time, and the distance traveled, average distance traveled by the electron between any two successive collisions is called mean free path. That is called mean free path. Okay, so relaxation time and mean free path both depend on free electron density, that is small n, and it also depends on temperature. Remember, relaxation time, which is represented as tau, mean free path usually represented as lambda, both depend on free electron density, that is small n, and also it depends on temperature. Next, expression for electrical conductivity, derivation, very important derivation for 5 marks. Expression for electrical conductivity, you know what is electrical conductivity? Sigma, which is the reciprocal of resistivity. What is reciprocal of resistivity? So now we have to derive the equation for conductivity. It is simple. Now consider a conductor of length L, cross sectional area A, and E is the applied electric field, V is the potential difference applied between the two ends of the conductor. Same introduction. Consider a conductor of length L and cross sectional area A. Let E be the applied electric field intensity and V be the applied potential difference across the ends of the conductor, and Vd is the drift velocity of the free electrons. So if you know these basic things, these things are already known to you. Now this is the expression that we have to arrive at, sigma. What is sigma? Sigma is the electrical conductivity, that is equal to n E square tau divided by m, where n is the number of free electrons per unit volume, which is known as free electron density, tau is the relaxation time, m is the mass of the electron, E is the charge on the electron. How to arrive at this equation? Very simple. Again, E is equal to V by L, you know this. I won't explain you this. One more thing, Vd is equal to A tau. You know the drift velocity EE by m into tau. This also you know. You know electric field is V by L. You also know drift velocity is equal to EE by m into tau. Equations 1 and 2, very clear. Current flowing through a conductor. This equation also we know. In fact, we have derived this expression for drift velocity. We have also derived this one, which means a relation between current and drift. I is equal to NAE Vd, current and drift velocity. So what N represents? Number of free electrons per unit volume. E represents charge on the electron. So I is equal to NAE. What is Vd? Vd is EE by m into tau. EE by m into tau. So if you rearrange this equation, you will get N A. We have got E here and E here, so therefore NAE square tau divided by m into E. Same thing, easy. You can refer the notes. The same notes I have taken here. Whatever the notes that I have given to you, PDF, same notes I have taken here. So that is the thing. Now you just take this A to the left hand side. What happens now? I by A you will get, I by A. What is I by A? I by A now becomes equal to NE square tau divided by m into E. You know that current per unit area is current density. Current per unit area is current density, and also you know that J, the current density, is equal to sigma E. So therefore this one, in this place, in the place of I by A, can I write sigma E? Because I by A is J, J is equal to sigma E. J is equal to sigma E. I repeat again, I by A is what? J. J is what? Current density. What is current density? Current per unit area. It is also sigma E. We know that, we have derived it. So in the place of I by A, we can write sigma E. I have written here. And as it is, NE square tau divided by m into E. E on both the sides will cancel, and what remains finally is sigma is equal to NE square tau divided by m. So sigma depends on number of free electrons per unit volume. Anyhow, E is a constant, m is a constant, mass of the electron, tau is the relaxation time, which depends on temperature. Remember, tau depends on relaxation time. So sigma is equal to NE square tau divided by m. Rho is reciprocal of this one. Rho is equal to m divided by NE square tau. Now mobility. Now definition of mobility is this: magnitude of drift velocity per unit electric field. Look at the equation. Mobility is equal to drift velocity divided by electric field intensity. So mobility is equal to drift velocity divided by electric field intensity, Vd divided by E. So Vd divided by E, and Vd can be written as what? Vd is equal to EE by m into tau. So if you want me to explain that, look at this equation. So what is drift velocity? I mean, what is mobility? According to the definition, mobility is equal to drift velocity divided by electric field intensity. How will you define this? It is the drift velocity per unit electric field. Drift velocity per unit electric field. So what is drift velocity? Small e into capital E divided by m into tau. And one more E is there here. This E and E goes, what finally remains is E divided by m into tau. So this is the drift velocity, mu is equal to E divided by m into tau. This is the equation, one more equation for drift velocity. So now what is the unit of drift velocity? See that mu is equal to drift velocity divided by electric field intensity. Drift velocity is written as meters per second. That means the unit is meter per second. And the equation for, unit for electric field intensity is volt per meter. Volt per meter. This per meter taken to the numerator becomes meter square now. Meter square per second per volt. Meter square per second per volt is the unit of what? Mu. Mu is the mobility. So mobility of electrons. So mobility is the drift velocity acquired per unit electric field intensity. Per unit electric field intensity, remember that. Okay. So that is about the drift velocity. See the unit I have clearly given to you. So now mobility of electron is defined as the drift velocity acquired per unit electric field intensity applied across the conductor. Same thing, whatever I have shown here, mu d is equal to Vd divided by E. Vd, the drift velocity here, is meter per second, and electric field intensity is Newton per coulomb or volt per meter. There are two units for electric field intensity, Newton per coulomb, volt per meter. So if you solve that, you will get that. Deduce the expression for Ohm's law. Same diagram. Consider a conductor of length L and cross-sectional area A. Let N be the number of free electrons per unit volume, which is also known as free electron density. Let V be the potential difference applied across the ends of the conductor. All this introduction you are supposed to write. Now we are supposed to arrive at Ohm's law. You know what is Ohm's law? V is equal to IR. R is equal to V by I. The current flowing in a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across the ends of the conductor, provided the temperature and other physical conditions remain constant. So that is one thing. Now how to arrive at the Ohm's law? Dear students, check this equation. Vd is equal to E by m into tau. This you know, quite obvious. In the place of E, you can write V by L. This also you know. I need not explain you, because this we have come across many number of times. So E by m, V by L into tau. What is tau? Tau is the relaxation time. E is the charge on the electron and m is the mass of the electron. Current through the conductor is given by I is equal to NA VDE. You know that we have derived, even in this session only we have derived this. I is equal to NA VDE. So now substitute for drift velocity from equation 1 and come back here. I is equal to N. I have taken the same N. A, same A. VD, in the place of VD you can write EV tau divided by ML. EV tau divided by ML into E. This one. This is drift velocity. EV tau divided by ML, drift velocity, into E is there. So what you get? NE square tau A divided by ML, or this or V by I is equal to this V. I you take it here. Rearrange this equation. You will get V by I is equal to m divided by NE square tau into L divided by A. Just rearranging this equation, you have got here V and I. So V by I is equal to m divided by NE square tau L divided by A. So this one. What is V by I? R. So R is equal to what? You will get R is equal to V by I, according to Ohm's law. V by I, potential difference to the current. Ratio of potential difference to the current is resistance. So therefore R is equal to m divided by NE square tau L by A. So V by I is equal to R. So therefore in this place m L divided by NE square tau A, I will write it as R. So R is equal to what? V by I. So V by I is equal to R. V by I is equal to constant, or V is proportional to I. Here why this is a constant? M, mass of the electron, is a constant. N, for a given conductor, N is constant. E is anyhow constant. E is anyhow constant. tau is constant at a given temperature. When the temperature is constant, tau is constant. And for a given conductor, area is also constant. For a given conductor, length, area, n at a given temperature, tau are constants. M and E are always constants, mass of the electron and charge on the electron. So therefore, for a given conductor, length, area, then tau, n are constants. So therefore that is a constant, and that constant we call it as R. See that R. So R is equal to V by I, or V by I is a constant, or V is proportional to I. What is V proportional to I, or I proportional to V? Current in a conductor is directly proportional to the current. I mean, current in a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference, provided what? Provided the temperature is constant. Check that if the temperature is constant, tau is constant. That is the reason tau has to be constant, therefore temperature we keep constant. And other physical conditions, what are the physical conditions? Length, area should be kept constant. So therefore, to keep the length and area and tau constant, that is the condition we put in the Ohm's law. What are the conditions? Provided the temperature is constant. Why the temperature has to be constant? Because tau has to be constant. Other physical conditions, what are the physical conditions? Length, area. So then only resistance is constant. Resistance is constant only if L, A, tau, N are constants. N anyhow is a constant for a given conductor. So this is Ohm's law, dear students. We have derived Ohm's law. What are the limitations of Ohm's law? Ohm's law is applicable only for conductors at constant temperature. If the temperature is varying, V by I is equal to R. R keeps varying. Therefore, you have to apply that only at constant temperature, because Ohm's law, in the statement of Ohm's law itself, we have got constant temperature. Therefore, if the temperature is varying, you cannot apply Ohm's law. Ohm's law holds good only if all physical conditions remain same. What is that? All physical conditions, that length and area, mechanical stress, all those things should remain constant. It is not applicable for conductors at very low temperature and very high temperature. Very low temperature, say minus temperatures. I mean, for example, at a temperature of 10 Kelvin, 20 Kelvin, 30 Kelvin, these materials, some materials behave as superconductors. The material loses its conducting properties, they become superconductors. Therefore, we cannot apply Ohm's law when the temperature is too less. When the temperature is too high, the material get melted up, and you cannot apply Ohm's law then. Ohm's law can be applied only within the limited range of temperature. So therefore, Ohm's law cannot be applied at very low or very high temperature. It cannot be applied for varying temperatures. It cannot be applied when the physical conditions are varying. It cannot be applied for semiconductors, transistors, diodes, vacuum tubes. We cannot apply. So superconductors, discharge tubes. It holds good only for steady current. Of course, these are the important lacunas, disadvantages, demerits of Ohm's law. Now, ohmic devices. So simple, students. Ohmic devices are the devices which obey Ohm's law. Say for example, ammeter, resistor, galvanometer. All these things obey Ohm's law. What do you mean by Ohm's law? Potential difference is directly proportional to current, or current is directly proportional to potential difference. So therefore, there is a linear relationship between I and V. As it is evident from this graph, there is a linear relation, straight line. So that means as the current increases, potential difference increases. The slope of this graph, I mean straight line, gives you the resistance. R is equal to V divided by I. Slope gives you the resistance. Tan theta. Here tan theta is the slope. Tan theta is opposite by adjacent. That is potential divided by current. So R is equal to V divided by I. That represents the resistance. These are the ohmic devices. Ohmic devices are those which obey Ohm's law. Example, ammeter, voltmeter, galvanometer, resistors, so on. And the voltage and current graph is a straight line passing through the origin. What do you mean by passing through the origin? That means when the potential is 0, current is 0. It has to pass through the origin. So that those devices are called ohmic devices. Non-ohmic. Non-ohmic devices are those which do not obey Ohm's law. Which means, say there are, for example, thermistor, transistor, semiconductor, vacuum tubes, or all these are non-ohmic devices. In this non-ohmic devices, what happens? The relation V by I is equal to or is valid for both non-ohmic and ohmic devices, but the graph is not linear. See, look at this graph, you will understand. See that this is a graph for non-ohmic device. This is a graph for non-ohmic device, sorry, semiconducting diode. Oh my god, sorry. Okay, oh sorry. Okay, I beg your pardon. These are non-ohmic devices. So the devices which do not obey Ohm's law are called non-ohmic devices, and see that the graph is non-linear. The graph is non-linear